Sato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning. Welcome. Beautiful but cold day. Yes, the beautiful chant which we just heard, it's from the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Brahmananda Valli, the second chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad. And it just means the ultimate reality, Brahman, is existence, consciousness, unlimited. Unlimited, infinite existence, consciousness is Brahman. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's the subject matter of today's talk, as it usually is. If you look at the subject that we have set for today, what are we going to talk about? It just says subject matter. Yes. So the topic is subject matter. What's that about? Well, it so happened a few months ago, Professor Arindam Chakravarti was here, and he gave a talk here also on the nature of ignorance in Vedanta. But he had come here because he was invited to give a talk at Yale University. And he stayed here, and we took advantage of that to invite him to give a talk here. But then he went to Yale University. I was there for his talk there at Yale. And before the talk, we were just talking. And the talk turned to the subject matter of one of his books or papers. And then he said, Swami, notice the words, subject matter, how profound it is. And I said, yes, you're right. I never thought about that earlier. All of Vedanta can be packed into this subject matter. And there and then I thought I should do a talk. And he said, you should. You should do a talk on where the subject matter should be subject matter. So this is it. This is what I had planned at that time. It sort of germinated, and here we are today, this morning. If you look at life itself, our structure, the way we experience all of life is subject and matter, or subject and object. We are subjects and we experience stuff, and that's what we call life. We see people, we see, hear, smell, taste, touch. We interact with people and other objects in the world. We have our inner life of feelings and ideas and thoughts, memories, desires. We have a sense of individuality, inner subjectivity, and we deal with other people who are also subjects in themselves, within themselves. All of this, if you want to describe it, is subject and matter. In fact, in Vedanta, the definition of matter is a neat definition of matter in Vedanta. Anything that we can experience is matter. As simple as that. And as we look at it, this definition begins to reveal its riches. Whatever we can see, forms, colors, shapes, it's matter. Why? Because we can see it. And anything you can see with the help of instruments also, with microscopes or with telescopes, or with more sophisticated instruments like particle accelerators, it's all matter because it's an object to you. And whatever we can hear and smell and taste and touch, all of that is matter. So all sounds and shapes and colors and smells and flavors and touch, whatever kind of touch, all of that is matter. Because it's an object. It's presented to you, the subject. It's presented to us. So by that definition, anything that we experience is matter. And that's a very definition. In Sanskrit, there's a word jara. Jara. Many Indian languages also. And the technical definition of that word jara, it just means matter. Technical definition is that which is an object to consciousness. I've mentioned on other occasions, Professor Arindam Chakravarti's wonderful, humorous, and yet serious definition of what is an object. He said, Swami, anything that objects to your consciousness is an object. How beautifully said. Think of our awareness like a field spreading out, and then it runs up against sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. This is an object. It's objecting to my awareness. This, it's objecting to my awareness. Even my voice is objecting to your awareness. And as it objects to our awareness, we experience. As awareness runs up against objects, we have experience. So subject, matter, object, same thing. Whatever is presented to consciousness is an object. Whatever objects to consciousness is an object. Whatever is presented to the subject, you or I, is matter. And therefore, all of life can be seen as this subject and matter. Subject and object, or consciousness and object. Consciousness and subject I'm using interchangeably. Object and matter I'm using interchangeably. It's basically, that's what life is. Objects interacting with consciousness, matter interacting with subjects. Interestingly, as we push deeper, we discover something unexpected. Thoughts, feelings. We do experience our own thoughts. We do experience feelings. Of course, that's what feelings are, our internal experiences. But if we experience pain or pleasure, if we experience our own memories, our own desires, we do. In that case, pain, pleasure, memory, desire, they also become objects, matter. Now, that's not the way we usually think about that. We think about our thoughts, our feelings as part of the subject. It's internal to me. It's subjective. We call it subjective. We say be objective. But this definition already is revealing its inner riches, its new insights. If you experience it, no matter whether it is so-called internal to you or external to you, it's matter. It's an object. Vedanta begins here. Vedanta divides the entire universe. Technical terms, aham, idam. Aham means I, the subject. Idam means the object. Idam literally means this. This. Whatever we can characterize as this. This hand, this light, this sound, this feeling, this thought. Nothing is presented to you, blank, everything. You don't hear, smell, taste, touch anything, don't think anything, sit quietly. This blankness, this. Even blankness is an object presented to consciousness. So our minds, our inner life, which till now we thought as part of the subject, now becomes the object. Here we are beginning to make inroads into Vedanta, just using those two words, subject, matter, or consciousness, object. All objects are presented to consciousness. Presented to means are experienced or experienceable. And that also includes not just our sense organs, but whatever extends the powers of our sense organs. Our scientific instruments, starting with a simple microscope to the CERN particle accelerator under Geneva. All of those are extensions to our senses. Even theoretical instruments like mathematics is an extension to our way of understanding object. So all of that reveals the world, reveals these objects. They are revealed to consciousness. Matter is presented to the subject. Now notice, already we have a new sophisticated paradigm of what is a matter and what is subject, what is object and what is consciousness. Before entering this analysis, what was subject and matter? I am the subject. You would say the body? I guess so. The body and the mind and the thoughts and feelings. That's how we use it in a dictionary sense. I am the subject and this is the object. But now the lines have shifted. Whatever is presented, including the body, including the sensations, including the thoughts, the feelings, the memories, the ideas, they're all now pushed into the realm of matter, into the realm of object. And I become what? I am the subject. And what is this subject? Well, now it becomes a little more vague, because as long as the body was the subject, as long as the mind was the subject, we had an idea of what the subject was. But now, all we can say surely about the subject is, one, indubitably, a la Descartes, it exists. I exist, there's no doubt about it. So one is existence. Second, it's not a dead existence. It's an alive existence. Alive in the sense it's aware. So the subject has existence and awareness. This much we can be sure of. Notice, in the world of objects, the objects do not know each other. The objects do not know themselves. The objects do not know the subject. Know means experience. The object is never a subject. So this is an object. It does not know itself. And it does not know the microphone. This one does not know this. This microphone does not know this. The objects don't know each other. Know means experience. We have to be careful here in this day of modern day of sensors and artificial intelligence and all. There's a certain sense in which objects know each other. The Google, the Waymo taxi driving in San Francisco, the driverless car, in a certain very sophisticated sense, it does know its environment, but there's no inner experience. You might ask me, how do you know that? Maybe it's feeling. It's got its own feelings. It might feel hurt or what, depending on the review you give it, and 5 stars or what. Yeah. Just like your Uber driver will feel hurt if you give a 2-star review. Maybe the driverless taxi also feels hurt. No, it does not. It does not. On what grounds? I say ask the experts. Don't ask me. Ask the Google, driverless car people who have programmed it, put the AI into it. Have they programmed consciousness into it? No, they'll say, no, of course not. There are no algorithms for feelings or feeling hurt or nothing like that. None of it. So, the objects, no matter how sophisticated, no matter how equipped with sensors and infused with AI, still does not have an experience of the of itself or other objects. The object does not become a subject in the sense in which we are subjects. Are you with me? This is going to be a deep dive into subject matter, so you have to walk with me. I remember, and this is not popular in the United States, there were these comic books when we grew up, Tintin. So in one of those scenes, it won't make sense to those who haven't read Tintin, but one of those scenes, there is the professor. His name is Professor Calculus. Go figure. So Professor Calculus is explaining what a nuclear reaction is, right? And people are walking behind him, and he's explaining what it works, what it's like. And the character Captain Haddock is behind him, scowling because he doesn't understand all those neutrons and protons and all that. And at one point, Professor Calculus says, "Are you following me?" And Captain Haddock scowls and growls. He said, "Yeah, I'm right behind you." No, we must walk together. You must follow me. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, all of this entirety of the objective world is presented to subject. The object, I was saying, never becomes a subject. No matter how sophisticated the object, it could be a Waymo driverless taxi, it does not become a subject. It does not know itself in the sense of it does not experience itself. It has got enormous amount of data about itself, much more than we have about ourselves. It does not know itself. It does not know does not experience others. In what sense? In the sense of subject matter, object consciousness, the way we are doing. It does not do that. Does not have that inner feeling. Dr. Anil Seth, neuroscientist, writer on consciousness, he's by no means an idealist or a Vedantin or a Buddhist. He's a materialist, but he says it is true that the computer Deep Blue, which is so smart, can defeat chess grandmaster. It does not feel pain. Suppose the chess grandmaster defeated it, would it feel hurt? Would its feelings be hurt? No. And then he says, in comparison, a mouse is not as smart. But the mouse can feel pain when a cat catches it. There's an inner experience. It's a subject. So consciousness always means it becomes a subject and everything else is an object to it. So the objects do not know themselves. The objects do not know each other, other objects. Know means experience. And the object does not know the subject. Know means experience. Whereas I, the subject, we, the subjects, we know ourselves. We know in the sense we are aware of our own existence. And we are aware of the existence of objects also. So the subject reveals itself and all objects. In Sanskrit, aham idam, idam this, aham I. The I reveals the idam. Everything in this objective realm is revealed, or at least in principle can be revealed, can be objectified, can be experienced by the subject, by the I, by the by consciousness. So this is the first step that we have taken. The first step is, I am consciousness, I am the aham, the I am the subject. And everything else, whatever I experience, is an object. Is an object. It is matter. I am subject, everything else is matter, including my inner experiences, they are also matter. At this point, someone might object here. Object. Swami, you said everything that you experience is an object. So are we all objects to you? But we are subjects. Each one of us experiences themselves as subjects, and everything else as matter, as objects. Well, there is a wrinkle here, a way out here. The interesting thing is, when I experience you or you experience me, we experience each other, the subjects. We only experience the material aspects of those subjects. Yes, we experience the bodies, we experience the speech, the behavior. And in fact, if we were telepaths, you would experience the thoughts of that person. But we already said thoughts are also matter. Whatever is experienceable is also matter. So one thing is clear here. The subject never becomes an object. Even other subjects, they don't become objects. The subjects can objectify all matter, and they cannot objectify other subjects. They can objectify the material aspects of those subjects, the bodies, the speech, maybe even the thoughts. So you remain a subject and you never become an object, neither to yourself nor to anybody else. Your real nature is the subject. The body can become an object. A doctor examines the body. It's an object, the biological living object. Our speech, our behavior, our life stories, our social media history, they're objects. But our inner experience, that conscious experience, the subject never becomes an object. So this is the second thing which I want to point out. Not only the entirety of all matter, all objects is presented to consciousness, including thoughts, feelings, so-called subjective things. They're also object. That's one. Second, the subject itself, consciousness itself, the real I. Notice I'm using three words now. Subject, consciousness, aham, I, the real I. It is entirely distinct from the material order. It is entirely apart and distinct from all that is material. Why? Because it never becomes an object. It never becomes matter. We just saw this. It can never become matter. Think of what it means to experience a body. We can see immediately. Think of it, what it means to experience thoughts and feelings. We can do it right now. But that subject, quite apart from body, quite apart from feelings, thoughts and memories, just bare awareness, how can you experience it as an object? You can't. It always remembers as the seer, never the seen. In the language of Drigdrishya Viveka, Drigeva natu drishyate. It remains as the seer, never the seen. As the subject, never the object. As consciousness, never the object. As consciousness or subject, never matter. That old joke about mind and matter. I repeated it. What do you call it? Flogged it till to death. The joke. And the first joke you hear in a philosophy class is that what is matter? Never mind. What is mind? No matter. So, consciousness, the I, the subject, remains distinct, apart from the entire material order. Now, let's take a pause here and see what's the benefit of this kind of analysis. Tremendous benefit. Tremendous benefit. See, our suffering, our problems in the world are because the analysis is that our problems in the world are because of an inability to appreciate what A subject is what we truly are. Vedanta says that if we know ourselves as we truly are, we would go beyond suffering. How is that so? If the subject knows itself or understands itself as the subject, pure subject, just consciousness, just subject, without the material aspects, in that case, it is free of the travails of the material order. See, I grow sick. I am old and creaky and wrinkled. That's the body. That's matter. That's object. Body is the object. The characteristics of matter will stay in matter. Don't import the characteristics of matter into the subject. The subject, which is bare being, bare awareness, how can it get wrinkles? Can awareness have wrinkles? Can awareness be creaky and old? No. The body gets creaky and old and gets wrinkles. So whatever problems, that is the aging of the body. That's part of the material order. It changes. It's born, it grows, it matures, it ages, and it dies. But if you are not the body, if you're distinct from the body as the subject, in that case, the old age, the creakiness of the body, none of them apply to you. It remains in the body. The characteristics of matter will remain in matter. The characteristics of object will remain in object. The properties, the adjectives, the characteristics, they will remain in the object. That which is natural to the subject will remain in the subject. What is natural to the subject? Existence and awareness. So this luminous existence that I am, I remain. That's a beautiful saying. We think we are human beings in search of spiritual experience. The truth is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. In our present language, we are subjects having a material experience, but we are not matter. We are not matter. Sickness, hunger, thirst, tiredness, exhaustion, sickness, they all seem to be subjective. But no, if you experience hunger and thirst and tiredness and exhaustion and all of that, those are also objective. Where do they belong if not in the subject? They belong in what is called prana, the vital forces in the body. That's where health comes from. That's where sickness comes from. That's where energy and tiredness, hunger, thirst, all of that, it's all material and it's all in the vital forces, in the life forces. Go deeper. Mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, good and bad, all of them are material. By the definition, whatever you experience is matter. So, what we thought as subjective, I'm so depressed. No. You are aware of the depression in the mind. Mind is material and its depression is also material. It's a material characteristic. No wonder that it can be treated with medicines. Medicine's physical. Why should it be able to treat the mind, which is supposed to be mental, inner, subjective? No. Very much connected. The mind is deeply connected to the brain, which is, of course, part of the body. And therefore, you do something to the brain, it will affect the mind. Do something to the mind, it will affect the brain and the body also. Both ways, psychosomatic. Because now we understand they're all part of the material order. We get freedom. I was just reading, Jung says, the greatest happiness is to understand for the first time the cause of our unhappiness. At the deepest possible level, we see we are illegitimately importing unhappiness into ourselves, where it doesn't belong. We embrace the material order, the body, the prana, the mind, and all its problems we embrace into ourselves. And then say, I am old and sick and unhappy and lonely. All of that, no escapism here. No denial here. Absolutely squarely looking at the fact. Yes, there is the feeling of unhappiness, the feeling of darkness and depression. So, well, you're feeling it. Yes, I'm feeling it. In that case, if you're feeling it, it's part of matter. And you are that which feels it, that subject. The subject cannot get old. The subject cannot feel depressed. The subject does not and cannot feel confused or angry or hatred. And excitement, joy, pleasure, all of that part of the material order. The subject illumines all of that, but is all the time free of it, even while illumining or revealing it. So this is the second thing we have learned. First, we understood subject as existence awareness. Second, we are now seeing this subject as existence awareness is entirely distinct and separate and apart from the material order, and therefore not subject to, see language, not subject to its travails, its sorrows, its struggles, even while experiencing them. Just as a monk said, be a mirror. What do you mean, be a mirror? When the mirror comes, when the mirror is there, and the monk was saying, a horse passes and you see the reflection of the horse in the mirror. An ass, a donkey passes and you see the reflection of the donkey in the mirror. None of them leave any trace behind on the mirror. The reflections leave no trace in the mirror. Similarly, in the mirror of consciousness, the universe appears and disappears without leaving a trace. See, it's because we are appropriating to ourselves. We are embracing, hugging these material objects, bodies, these material, extraordinary subtle material objects called minds. That's why we get impacted, because the bodies can be affected. Minds can be traumatized. They are material. So what happens in the material order affects them. They immediately get affected. But we must, even while the body and mind is being affected, we must assert our freedom as subject, as consciousness, as spirit, as I. There's a great philosopher, K.C. Bhattacharya. He wrote his masterpiece. It's called The Subject as Freedom. The Subject as Freedom. Very difficult book. His son was also a great philosopher, Kalidas Bhattacharya. He gives this reminiscence that once I went to my father and said, everybody asks me, what's the meaning of this stuff that your father has written in this book? I said, I'm his son and I'm the head of the Department of Philosophy. I should ask him. And then his father said, all right, I'll teach you. And after 1 or 2 classes, he found it very difficult. And his father said, give it up. You won't understand it. But basically what he was saying there is this. Even now, there are some of the top philosophers, including Professor Arindam Chakravarti, Professor J. Garfield, Professor the professor who had come here, our Janardhan Ganeri. They're all working on that, on K.C. Bhattacharya, especially the subject as freedom. But what it means is this. You, if you remain as the subject, you do remain as the subject. But if we recognize, even recognition requires the intellect, which is part of the material order. We use the intellect to reflect upon ourselves like a mirror and appreciate. It's a kind of philosophical narcissism. Look at it and see how beautiful you are. Not this face and the philosophical mirror of Vedanta, and see yourself as spirit, as subject, as consciousness. Free of old age, disease, death, ego, unhappiness, jealousy, anger. Even while, do we see how even while they are appearing in the mirror is untouched? Even while they are being revealed by consciousness, consciousness is untouched, being distinct, not part of the material order. Subject matter. All right, so far so good. All of Vedanta does this. It is called in Vedanta Atma Anatma Viveka, the discernment between the self and the not self. Now we've got a new name, self. Subject, consciousness, spirit, I, self. All of the 5 terms now. They all mean the same thing, literally. It just means you, the pure you. You as you really are. I as I really am. And Anatma Viveka, that which is not the self, that which is not the subject. Self and not self discernment, subject and matter discernment, object and consciousness discernment, spirit and matter discernment. So this discernment, this separation. The material order is presented to you, the subject, the spirit, the consciousness, and you are entirely free of it and of its characteristics. And therefore you find freedom, subject as freedom. However, Vedanta says, none of this, what you heard, all wonderful deep stuff, none of it is true. Yeah, pulling a fast one on you. No. There is this distinction now, having been drawn, must now be erased. It's like this. The wood and the furniture. Each piece of furniture is different. There's the podium, there are the chairs, there's the altar, the tables. Now, the table and the chair and the altar and the podium, they're all wooden. They're all made of wood. As long as we do not understand that they are made of the same thing, we see only the differences. We see only the particulars, the characteristics. This is called a podium. It looks like this, and it is used for giving talks about subject and matter. And that's called a chair. It's meant for sitting on. That's called a table. It's meant for keeping things on. It's an altar where you worship. So the names are different. They look different. And the uses are different. In Sanskrit, nama, rupa, vyavahara, they are all different. In order to show that they are the same thing, basically, what do? You introduce a term called wood. Wood. For someone who does not know what wood is. And we understand all this. It's unnecessary. But wood is an example. We are not talking about, otherwise you'll have wood Advaita, wood non-dualism. It's just a way of an example. What do I say then when you introduce wood? That same thing, the table and the podium and the altar and the chair are literally the same material. Quite apart from the shapes, quite apart from the names, quite apart from the material uses of these things. The basic reality of all of them is one and the same. Not only that, this wood precedes and outlasts each of these entities. Before it was made into a podium, it was wood. One day, if the podium is broken and discarded, it will still be wood. And also, when it is a podium, it's still wood. So, we introduce something called wood. And then we examine. We say, all right, that sounds interesting. What is this wood? Where is this wood? So take a look at any wooden entity. That which is a product of wood, product effect. The material causes wood. You will always find the product, the cause, material cause in the product. In wooden furniture, what will you find? Wood. In golden ornaments, what will you find? Gold. In clay pots, the classic example in Vedanta, what will you find? Clay. So you will find the wood in the effect, here itself. So when you examine the podium, you see the top of it is wood. We say touch wood. The side of it is wood. The bottom of it is wood. The inside of it and the outside of it. In fact, it is wood through and through. You would be hard pressed to find any entity called a podium apart from the wood. Show me the podium. You say, this, Swami, but this is wood. You're using two words. My point here is, you're using two words. We're using two words. Wood, podium. If you're using two words, shouldn't you have two things? When I say microphone and clock, I should be able to show you two things separately. So when you're using two words like wood and podium, can you show me those two things separately? Actually, you cannot. We cannot show you the podium apart from the wood. Although we can show you the wood apart from the podium. I can show you the wood in the altar. I can show you the wood in the table. And I can show you the wood in this podium itself. If you destroy the podium, it'll just be wooden pieces. Still be wood. So, the cause can remain apart from the effect. But the effect cannot be shown or remain apart from the cause. Then we come to the conclusion, final conclusion, that it's not that there are two things called wood and podium. It is just one. So what was the big deal? I knew it was one. We started with podium, one. Yeah, but the big deal is now we have ended up with again one, but it is wood. It is wood through and through, with the name of a podium, with the shape of a podium, and the use of a podium. Nama rupa vyavahara. But what is the reality here? Earlier we thought there is some reality called a podium. Now we know the reality is wood itself. The reality is wood itself. Then what happens is, we introduce in Vedanta, this is wood and podium. Now we have the world, matter and subject. So in the material world, we introduce a term called consciousness, subject, spirit, Atman, Brahman. We introduce a term. All material things change, but consciousness does not change. All material things come and go, but consciousness never comes and goes. It always is. All material things are limited. And they are here, but not there. But consciousness is unlimited. It's everywhere. Material things are all different from each other, but consciousness is one and the same. So consciousness, we introduce something called consciousness, the subject, the spirit, the this inner reality, Atman, Brahman, whatever you call it, just like the wood is introduced. Now, next, people ask, where is this consciousness? Well, first, right away, where do we find consciousness? In ourselves. I am conscious. All of us will say, I am conscious. That's why I am the subject. I am aware. And the material universe is not conscious, but it's something that I am conscious of. Entirety of the world and the body and the mind, I am conscious of it. All right. Now we are going to, if you thought all this was hopefully interesting, now it gets even more interesting. But just a little bit more subtle and difficult now. But I'm going to tell you in the beginning what we are going to do. This sharp distinction which we have drawn between consciousness and the world, between subject and matter. We've drawn this distinction, hopefully. I am subject. Everything else is matter. I am aware. Everything else is that which I am aware of. Clearly, the subject is never an object. The object is never subject. We have separated it. Now I am saying, Vedanta is telling us, this is like the distinction between wood and podium. They are actually not two. That I have to demonstrate, because it seems very clear that they are two, that's separate. Now we're going to dive into that. We are going to show here that this entire material order is nothing but consciousness. That all of matter is nothing but the subject. Subject matter, it's separated now. Now we are going to merge it back. But how? Not subject into matter, matter into subject. We're going to merge matter back into subject. We're going to show all of matter is nothing but the subject. Your universe is nothing but you. You are this universe. That the universe which we experience. How so? How can we do that? Let's start with what it feels like. Then we'll see why it feels like is not the truth. What it feels like is, I am the subject and here is a separate material universe apart from me, outside me, which I experience. And that's true as long as we take ourselves to the body. Clearly, the physical world is outside the body. And there's something inside the body also material. So as the body, as I stand as the body, the world is something different from me, external to me, exterior to me. And I am in here, I am consciousness, distinct from the world. Is this true? Is there a material world outside consciousness? Literally outside. Like there's a material world outside the body, clearly. This is body stops here, this is outside the body, clearly. Because we are so grounded in the body, it feels like the universe is outside us. But now we are being asked, be grounded in the subject. Be grounded in consciousness or awareness. Now see, where is the universe? We'll begin to see, the universe is actually appearing in me. In consciousness, not in the body. Body, mind, universe, all of them appear in consciousness. Is that not true? That's what we're going to demonstrate. Now, first of all, two arguments I'm borrowing from Bernardo Kastrup. He's the analytic idealist, the philosopher and scientist also. Two arguments, which shows what he calls the utter absurdity of materialism. What does materialism say? Matter is real. Matter is the ultimate reality. It exists outside, separate from you, the subject. And in fact, it generates you, the subject. Material reality is an independent, separate reality apart from consciousness, mind, whatever. That's the general prevailing idea. And he attacks this with two arguments. One argument is to show the illogicality of the materialist claim. It's a four-step argument. Step one, I am conscious. I am conscious. Nobody denies it. Idealist does not deny it. Materialist does not deny it. Vedantist does not deny it. Scientist does not deny it. Atheist does not deny it. Nobody denies it. Everybody recognizes I am conscious. I means that person. The subject is conscious. Nobody denies. You cannot. That's the ground of all denial and assertion. Because you're conscious. So that's step one. Everybody accepts. Step two. A little relaxation of logical rigor. Step 2, others are also conscious. You are not all zombies. I know I am conscious because directly I can experience it. You are also conscious. How? I do not directly experience. Remember, the subject never objectifies the other subjects. I do not directly experience you as conscious. However, Bernardo Kastrup says there is a logical ground for believing this. Why? Something, if it has happened once, surely it can happen again. And it has happened in my own case, I'm sure of it. Therefore, it can happen in similar case. These guys look like me. So they also must be conscious inside, internally. They're not zombies. So you are also conscious. You will say, thank you, Swami. I was mm, I was on tenterhooks. Whether you'll deny my consciousness. Yeah. So you are also conscious. Step 2. Little relaxation of logical rigor, though direct evidence is not there for me. Third, a great relaxation of logical rigor is quite independently and outside, exterior to this consciousness, is a material world of rocks and buildings and sky and earth and bodies. They are all exterior. Why exterior? Because we never experience it apart from consciousness, but to assert, no, it exists apart from consciousness. But we never experience this material world apart from consciousness. Two things, if they are separate from each other, you should be able to experience them apart from each other. Here is the microphone. You can experience it separately from the clock. Here is the clock. You can experience it separately from the microphone. But you never ever experience a material reality, rocks and people, the physical bodies and trees and sky and earth separately from consciousness. You cannot. But your definition of experience is when subject meets matter or matter meets subject. So you cannot. By definition, you can never experience an external world, but we assume there is an external world apart from consciousness. Third step, he says, Bernardo Castro. What are the first two steps? I am conscious. Sure. Nobody has a problem with this. Second, others are also conscious. Other sentient beings. Third, apart from these consciousness, me and others, there is a separate, independent, by itself existing material reality. Although we take it as common sense, logically speaking, this is a faulty argument. This is too big a jump. And the fourth one is what Bernardo Kastrup calls atrocious. Fourth, final step. This so-called external, independently existing, utterly unverifiable material reality actually produces you, the utterly sure conscious reality. Matter existing separately, independently from subject produces subject. This is, at least logically speaking, this is atrocious. Also, he says, we never ever experience this independent thing called matter. The second argument I'm taking from Bernardo Castro. He says, suppose you are a sailor, an explorer in ancient times. You set out to explore. And all that you find is land, then sea, and then land again. And that's what you keep finding. And suppose somebody tells you, yeah, you have seen the sea and the land, but if you travel far enough, further and further enough, at one point you will fall off. They used to say, the edge, you will find something else entirely. No land, no sea, nothing. You just into something else. There is something other than that. If you travel far enough, you will experience something beyond the land and the sea. That will never happen. Never has, never will. Similarly, he says the argument that, yes, all your experiences are subject matter. But at one point, there is a separate thing called matter which exists apart from subject. You will jump out of the subject and that there's a thing called matter which is outside the subject. That will never happen. Because that, he says, that shows that there is this idea of an independent matter existing apart from subject. Matter existing apart, object existing apart from consciousness is at least big question mark. He quotes the physicist John Wheeler saying, what is the universe? John Wheeler says, actually, if you are like that level of, he was the Nobel laureate physicist, at that level, you begin to realize what we are doing in physics. He said, the universe is just readings on our instruments. In Vedanta, in Indian philosophy, there is this debate. Manadhina meya siddhi, meyadhina mana siddhi. the epistemic instruments are under the domain of the measured universe, or the measured universe depends on your epistemic instruments. These are the two positions. Because you have these instruments of knowledge, that's why the universe appears to you like this. That's one point, one way of looking at it. Other way of looking at it is more materialistic way. Universe is there, and then you are experiencing it with your epistemic instruments. The universe determines what it is, not your instruments. You have to design your instruments, and you have to see the universe as it apparently is without your instruments. But the more sophisticated way of understanding physics, as I'm told now, I'm not a physicist, is that we are moving towards that first position. The way we measure the universe, it depends on the way we are looking at the instruments we are measuring it with. The universe is readings on our instruments. So these are the two arguments. Shankaracharya brings in here his master insight called adhyas or superimposition. He says, this distinction you have made between subject and matter, you're right. They are utterly distinct from each other. They're utterly different from each other. Subject is never object. Object is never subject. They're distinct from each other like light and darkness. Tama prakashavad viruddha svabhava. One is always changing, the material world. The other one is never changing, the consciousness itself. And there are arguments to show why consciousness cannot change. Or what changes is material. Could be physical, could be mental also. But consciousness by itself cannot change, logically. And consciousness is always inner. Object is always presented to consciousness. Consciousness is that which is aware of the object. Object is never aware of consciousness or itself. Like this, there's a sharply different nature of matter and subject, consciousness and object. So, we have already done this. Then Shankaracharya asks the question, how do they come into contact with each other? How are they related to each other? Let me ask a further question. Let's go deeper. How is consciousness related to object? How is subject related to matter? Subject, matter, that's our topic. Now we are asking the question, we have clarified what is matter, what is subject. What is subject? Never matter. What is matter? Never subject. But now we are asking the question, how are they coming in contact? You say, are they coming in contact? Well, they apparently are. I am a subject. We have decided that the body is an object. Body is matter. Even mind is matter. Clearly, I have body and mind. I am connected with the body. Somehow, I am body, mind. So where are they getting in touch with each other? Why is this important? Because if they're utterly different from each other, how can they contact each other? The point of contact. Will it be subject or will it be matter? Will it be consciousness? Will it be object? The point of contact. Two utterly different things cannot interact. Often in Vedanta, we use the example of light illumining the world. Here is light. So light is like consciousness illumining matter. Light is there and it's illumining the world. Not a good example. Why? This light is material light. And this is a material object. Material light can interact with a material object. And it can reflect off a material object and illumine it. But tell the light to illumine our thoughts. Can this light illumine our thoughts? No. Why go so far? Can this light illumine my speech? No. Because this speech is not something that the light is supposed to illumine. It's a different kind of material thing. Let alone the immaterial thing like the mind. Compared to the light, mind is an immaterial thing. Immaterial means a different order of material reality. Light cannot illumine even sound or even the mind. How can consciousness interact with matter if they are so different from each other? We must appreciate the question first. And yet it happens all over the world. All our life is consciousness and matter interacting, subject and matter interacting together. That's our life. We just began with that. All life is subject matter. But now he's asking the question, how are they interacting? Professor Arindam Chakravarti is fond of quoting Abhinavagupta, a great, 1,000 years ago, great Kashmiri Shaiva philosopher, aesthetician, literature. So he says a phrase, Sambandhe savadhanata. Savadhan, attention, alertness. Pay attention to the relation. Be careful about the relation. Be meticulous and discerning about the relation. Where is subject related to matter? How? And Shankaracharya says it should be impossible. And yet we are seeing it's happening all the time. If two things, they cannot interact, it's impossible, and yet they appear to be interacting, in that case, they are not two. They only appear to be two. I and the universe, not two. We appear to be two. It seems so distinct, subject, matter. The material universe is not separate from the subject. Object is not separate from consciousness, which we separated so far. Now we are beginning to see it cannot be separate. It is true that consciousness is separate from object. But object is not separate from consciousness. It's like wood and the podium. It is true, wood is distinct and separate from the podium. But the podium cannot have any existence apart from the wood. It is true that water can exist without being a wave, but waves in the ocean cannot exist without water. It is true, gold can exist without the golden ornaments. But the golden ornaments cannot exist without the gold. And Shankaracharya comes to this conclusion, what we call object, what we call matter, is nothing but consciousness, appearing to itself in the guise, in the name and the form and activity of matter. It's a big, big step forward. That means this universe is nothing but consciousness. That means matter is nothing but subject. Subject matter? Matter is nothing but subject. There's a verse in the Aparokshanubhuti. Sarvo vyavaharastu brahmana kriyate janaihi ajnanana vijananti mrideva hi ghatadikam. All activities in this universe are being done through consciousness, through Brahman. But because of ignorance, people don't recognize it. This is just like clay and all clay pottery. Mrideva hi ghatadikam. So, with the pots, I hold water somewhere, we put flowers in the flower vase, keep milk in another pot, or keep just a pot as a decorative thing. Whatever use you're doing with the pot, actually it's made possible by clay. They're all made of clay. The clay makes all activity possible. The fact that this is a pot, this is a flower vase, that's a decorative piece. These words, pot, flower vase, decorative piece, they're all actually names of clay. Is that not true? If our attention is on the clay, if attention is on the pot or the flower vase or the decorative piece, then we will just see the distinctions. So, these are not separate from the clay. And all activity, all naming, all usage is being done with the clay alone whenever you use clay pottery. Similarly, he says, whatever we do in the world, whatever we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, we are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching consciousness, not matter. Matter is just the name we are giving it to consciousness when it does this weird, wonderful, magical trick of appearing to itself. So, you'll say, but you said the subject can never become the object. It doesn't become the object. So, the object is a remarkable thing. It's when the subject appears to itself, it cannot appear as the subject. It has to appear as an object. That which is unchanging appears as the changing. That which is pure consciousness appears as an object to consciousness. That which is the spirit appears as matter. That which is bliss and peace itself appears as a mixture of pleasure and pain. That which is eternal being appears as life and death. But all the time, it continues to be. The clay continues to be clay. Similarly, Brahman continues to be Brahman. This Brahman, this limitless consciousness appearing to itself as the universe, is subject. It is consciousness. And where do you find consciousness? Back to our beginning. I am Brahman. This is the meaning of Vedanta. Aham Brahmasmi. Yes, you, the pure subject, in which the consciousness in the material universe appears, that itself is Brahman. This is called Atman is Brahman, Brahman is Atman. The self is Brahman, the self is the absolute is the self. You are that, I am that, we all are that, not separate. We are that one underlying Brahman appearing as this amazing world to ourselves. Swami Vivekananda was reading, it's a sentence I just came across yesterday. He says, the universe is God objectified. Then I looked up the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. Nowadays, you can search with the help of a computer. I was thinking, this is amazing. What came before it? Unfortunately, I found nothing came before it. This is a series, sayings and utterances of Vivekananda. 1, 2, 3, 4. So one isolated statement. We don't know where he said this. It just says, the universe is God objectified. And I'll add something to it today. We sentient beings is God subjectified. The universe is God objectified, and we sentient beings is God subjectified. What does that mean? A few words here, then I'll wrap up. Or I'll take a little bit of time. Yes, because the subject matter is deep. Is Brahman separate from the universe or one with the universe? This is the question. And the answer is depends. Depends on where you are looking. How? So these are two insights I will present here. These are drawn from a book called The Ocean of Reasoning, Vichara Sagar. It was written by a monk called Nischal Das very recently, about 200 years ago. And this recent in the history of Vedanta. Swami Vivekananda actually praises. Vedanta is a living system. It was just the other day that the monk Nischal Das wrote the masterpiece, Vichara Sagar. And two verses from that, two insights from that I'll present here. Incidentally, I was in Venice in this summer for a seminar, a workshop on consciousness. They had invited some of the top scientists and philosophers of the world. And for 5 days, we were cooped together and, talking about consciousness and walking on the bylanes of Venice on the boats, the Vaporetto, and arguing and discussing about consciousness from AI perspective, from quantum theory perspective, from the Chinese Taoist perspective, from Advaita Vedanta, from the philosophy of mind, all of these neuroscience, there were top neuroscientists there. So from all of these perspectives, so very exciting. And I saw the conference was beautifully organized. They had a theme. The conference itself was called the Ocean. Because I think because it was in Venice, it's a very water themed place. So it's ocean. And each day was called a wave. And each individual session was called a ripple. And I suddenly remembered the book about consciousness, Vichar Sagar. It's called The Ocean of Reasoning about consciousness. And you'll be amazed to know each chapter is called a wave. And each section in the chapter is called a ripple. They didn't know about it. They had come to it by themselves. So I showed the organizers that there's this book about consciousness written 200 years ago. And the book is called The Ocean, just like this conference. And each chapter, just like there were 4 days of discussions, and there are 4 chapters actually in this book. Each one is called a wave. No, they didn't know about it. And then each section is called a ripple. So they were so stunned. And this is extraordinary. The organizers said, look, we are going to St. Mark's Basilica, which is the biggest tourist attraction in Venice. And we're going to have a private tour of St. Mark's Basilica this evening. The whole group is going, and it'll be special. After the public leaves, nobody will be there. So we'll go there. And you must tell us about this book. Quote from this book and explain a little about this book. So that's what I did in St. Mark's Basilica about the ocean of reasoning of consciousness. Anyway, what are the two insights which I want to present? Subtle, but see, I'm enjoying it. I hope you will enjoy it too. If we remember what is the question, we will see the answer also. Between subject and matter, what is the relationship? Is subject one with matter or not? Is Brahman one with the universe or not? Yes and no. See, Nishchal Das says, let me tell you what he says and then explain. He says, if your attention is on the particulars, then Brahman will be distinct from everything else, separate. If your attention is on the general, the non-particular, the universal, then the universe will be one with Brahman. Let me tell you the original, the Hindi in which I had heard it. Nishchal Das's book is originally in old Hindi, but I heard it in a Hindi explanation, more modern Hindi. So it went like this. आपका दृष्टि अगर विशेष पर होगा तो ब्रह्म सबसे न्यारा है. दृष्टि अगर निर्विशेष पर होगा तो ब्रह्म तो सब ब्रह्म से एक है, प्रपंच ब्रह्म से एक है. Very precisely worded. Drishti means our attention. What does it mean? It's actually pretty simple. As long as our attention is on the furniture, podium, chair, table, altar, then wood is not a kind of furniture. You'll have to understand wood distinctly from apart from all of this. You'll have to say that wood is the reality of all of these, and you have to say like that. Because wood is not a podium by itself. Wood is not an altar by itself. Wood is not a chair or a table by itself. But if your attention is on the underlying wood, then all the furniture will be one with the wood. Once one understands what wood is, then we'll look at the podium, we'll say it is nothing but wood. Look at the chair, you'll say it's nothing but wood. You look at the table or the altar, you'll say nothing but wood. So if your attention is on the particular, then Brahman is distinct from all of this. Apart from body, mind, people, objects, all of that is one Brahman, Satchidananda. I am not the body, not the mind, not the intellect. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Distinct. But if your attention is on the underlying existence, on the underlying awareness, then you will find the entire universe appearing in this awareness itself. Brahman is not nothing is distinct from Brahman. This is one insight. Beautiful insight. I hope it's worth dwelling on. It's a simple insight, but it's really worth dwelling upon. And second insight. I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate and explain. अगर अधिष्ठान जड़ है तो दृष्टा दृश्य से अलग होगा. अगर अधिष्ठान चेतन है तो दृश्य दृष्टा से अलग नहीं है. If the fundamental reality is an object, is matter, then the seer will be distinct from the seen. If the fundamental reality is consciousness, then the seen will not be distinct from the seer. What does that mean? What is this universe? If we say it is matter, material universe, then clearly I will be the consciousness distinct from this material universe. Even the hard problem of consciousness will ensure that you cannot explain me, the consciousness, through brain activity. I am something distinct which is experiencing the material universe. I am the drashta, this is drishya. I am separate from it. That's the second stage analysis which we did. On the other hand, if our attention, if the adhishthana, the ground of this universe is consciousness, as Bernardo Kastrup implies, as Shankaracharya implies, in that case, the seen universe will not be distinct from me. Take the dream example, waking and dream. Here, it seems very obvious to me. I am separate from all of this. You guys are separate from me. I am separate from you. This world exists apart from me. This is our dream paradigm. This is our waking paradigm. But when I dream, and after waking and I reflect back on the dream, then I realize whatever I saw in the dream, the people, the places, the objects, including my own body in the dream, all of that is nothing other than the dreaming mind. I, the dreamer, appeared as all of that. They all appeared in me. So in the first case, in the waking paradigm, the drashta is separate from the drishya. It seems separate. Whereas in the dream paradigm, the drishya, the seen, are not separate from the drashta. So put these two insights together, you'll see. Question was, is Brahman, consciousness, subject, different from matter, from material universe? If your perspective is on the particular, then yes. If your perspective is on the universal, the underlying reality, the wood of all the furniture, then no. The entire universe is nothing but Brahman. If the reality will start with the material reality, then consciousness will remain separate from the material reality. If you start with consciousness as the underlying reality, then the material order will begin appearance in consciousness. Two insights from Nishchal Das. Should I go on? Okay. One more analysis I want to present here. Now I want to bring in the critics, the super critics. Modern materialist critics are no match for them. These are the emptiness people from 2000 years ago. Nagarjuna, great philosophers. What giants they were. Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, Dharmakirti, Dignaga. The Buddhists, the emptiness school, especially Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti. They say, hey, hold on. I'm going to rain on your parade. What you are saying is subject and object are distinct, and the object appears in the subject. The subject is ultimately real. The object is an appearance in the subject. He says, not quite. Notice, look to your own experience. Nagarjuna says that, and Chandrakirti also says that, and others afterwards. Subject and object are like two bales of hay leaning on each other. Remove one, the other will fall. All this, yes, it is true. This is matter, and I am the subject. But suppose you remove all matter. Then any experience of subject also goes. Deep sleep, general anesthesia. How do you know? One sadhu said, this is a great challenge to Vedanta, and it's a great cleanser for Vedanta. We put it this way. What does not survive in deep sleep, what does not survive under general anesthesia, will also not follow you in death. Vedanta must show you something which is there in deep sleep now, in general anesthesia now. Then there is some hope that it will be there in death also. Otherwise, that Vedanta which disappears the moment I fall asleep, that Atman, Brahman consciousness, then there's no guarantee it will be there in death. So what is called Madhyamaka Buddhism? It's called the Chatushkoti, the fourfold dialectic of Madhyamaka Buddhism, and it cleanses Vedanta of any sense of objectification of consciousness. To think that consciousness is a thing which will survive. The other side of it, the abyss, is nothing. So there's no such thing as consciousness. No, that's also not true. Neti. The answer is in the Upanishads. Not this, not this. Any objective thing, it is not the subject. So there is no subject. Neti, not that also. That side lies nihilism. On this side lies materialism. What does materialism do? It plunges the subject into the matter. It says brain is creating the subject. That's what materialism does. Brain and nervous system is creating the subject. What does idealism do? It says that the object, material universe, is being created by the subject. And Vedanta seems to be a kind of idealism until Madhyamaka Buddhism attacks it and says, if you let go of all matter, you have to let go of subject also. Lo and behold, subject matter gone. Matter gone, subject gone. What is left? He said, nothing. My professor of the emptiness school, he said, if you get a feeling when you're studying the emptiness school, you get a feeling of dropping into a bottomless well, then you've got it right. Now, what the emptiness school is suggesting here is that which is neither matter nor subject, we will not say anything about it. So there is something. Shh. That is the great silence of the Buddha. Because the moment you say something, language will denote, there will be a tinge of objectivity coming into it. You will be unable to appreciate what the reality is, the Buddha nature is. Vivekananda puts it in a positive way. He says, one only exists. It appears as nature, soul. Soul, subject. Nature, matter. One only exists. Vivekananda says, the realist mistakes it when he thinks that that matter is the reality and it produces the subject. The idealist makes a mistake thinking that mind is the reality and matter is an appearance in the mind. The fact is, neither is right. There is something underlying both matter and mind, which appears as matter and mind. He puts it elsewhere as one only exists. It appears as nature, soul. And that's why I said that one, the real nature of the Atman or Brahman, whatever you call it, Buddha nature, that appears as this matter and the subject, which is experiencing the matter. It is actually one. That's why I like Swami Vivekananda's. Now you understand his statement. The universe is God objectified. That underlying reality, objectified universe. And I'm adding to that, with bowing down to Vivekananda, footnote. We sentient beings, we subjects, are God subjectified. Underlying reality, what are you? Brahman, God, Buddha, nature, whatever you call it. In that sense, God. Not in the sense that I identify myself with God, that's blasphemy. No. Our real nature, the ground, Meister Eckhart put it beautifully. The ground of my being and the ground of God are one and the same ground. The Tibetan Buddhists, will give them the last word, they put it so beautifully. They said, under ignorance, on the primordial ground of being appears the magic display of samsara. And under knowledge, enlightenment, the same primordial ground of being appears as nirvana. Explaining Nagarjuna's radical statement, there is no difference between nirvana and samsara. Why? Because both are that primordial ground of being. You know it, then it is nirvana. Under conditions of ignorance, it is samsara. This very thing is nirvana. But it's also samsara if you don't realize what it is. What it is you. What is the use of this? Great is the use of it. Both subject and matter, because subject and matter will again appear after all this analysis. And when you go out, you'll see. There'll be matter and there'll be subject. It'll be very cold matter out there and a freezing subject. What is the benefit then? What benefit will you carry out from here? Here is the benefit. The subject will get the benefit and the object or the matter will get the benefit. What is the benefit to the subject? You become free of the travails of matter. Immediately apply this. I am awareness existence. Whatever I see is an appearance in me, including the shivering cold feeling. The body interacting with cold temperature shivers. I light it up. In me, both of these are appearing. I am the witness. I am not shivering. You will say that doesn't help. Yeah, but don't forget to cover up, bundle up. You're not covering consciousness up. You're covering the cold body up. Otherwise, you'll get pneumonia. So the subject gets freedom. K.C. Bhattacharya's essay, book, Subject as Freedom. You get freedom from old age, disease, birth, death, hunger, thirst, misery, depression, want, addiction, unhappiness. Get freedom from that. Because they are all appearances and disappearances in you. You are untouched like the mirror. And what about the world? What about matter? Matter is no longer the other, not the despised materialism. It is none other than God. It is none other than Brahman. It is none other than pure consciousness. It is none other than you. It's none other than me. We embrace matter then. Yes, then we say that this body is also pure consciousness. Mind is also pure consciousness. We understand in what sense? As the underlying reality appearing in this way. As the grossest, the rock also is pure consciousness. Just as it would be the mind in a dream, in that sense. All of the universe is now embraced in this embrace of oneness. Nobody is an other to you. Those were Ma Sharda's last words. He said, my child, learn to make the universe your own. No one is an other to you. Imagine, no one. Doesn't matter what their gender, their political affiliation, their race, whether they are human, non-human, whatever it is. Every bit, including non-living. None is an other. They're intimately one with us. And it's not a choice. It's not that it's my new philosophy, I will love everybody. No, that's a discovery. That's my real nature. Love, the greatest love becomes uncovered then. It's a limitless, conditionless, unconditional love. Limitless, unconditional love. No one is excluded here from that love. She would say, I am the mother, in Bengali, I'm Shoteru ma, Ashoteru ma. I am the mother of the virtuous and the wicked. It's not that the poor are excluded. It's not that the ignorant, the unlearned are excluded. It's not that the unsuccessful are excluded. It's not that the sick are excluded. It's not even that the wicked are excluded. Yes, we are not ignoring the difference between virtue and vice. But underlying both virtue and vice is the same divinity. They are not radically other than each other. They are both appearances of something divine underneath. And that divine underneath is not an other, it's you. This is the basis of the harmony of religions. This is the basis of all ethics. Why should I do good? Vivekananda says, why should I do good to another? Why should I not cut my neighbor's throat if it is of benefit to me? Because the neighbor is none other than you. They are you. Just as you love yourself, automatically take care of yourself, you will automatically feel like loving and taking care of everybody in this universe. It would be a great love, but a great unconditional and impersonal love. The basis of all ethics. The basis of service. The Ramakrishna orders Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva, to serve all sentient beings, knowing them to be Shiva. Yes, they are all Shiva. Shiva appearing and playing in all these ways, as the virtuous and the wicked, as the hungry. Vivekananda said, my God, the poor, my God, the starving, my God, the sick, my God, the wicked. These and others are the object of my special worship. Why? It's not just rhetoric. It's not just a slogan. It's not just social action. It's actually the highest spirituality. Look at the tremendous consequences of this philosophy. So this is the subject matter for today. I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda. May this subject matter become luminous in our minds and in our lives, in this very life itself. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.